This is going to serve as a part 2 video to the first video, which showed how to install the SLP indexer. This second video is going to show you how to speed up syncing by using a pre-synced database. So when you sync from SLP Genesis, it can take 2 or 3 weeks because the process is hard to parallelize and JavaScript's a single-threaded process. So you can greatly speed up this process by downloading a pre-synced database, and then that way you don't have to wait so long. So the steps for doing that is to go to fullstack.cache/cache strap, um, sort of a play on the word bootstrap. And here you'll see some pre-sync databases. And so you can click on the latest one with the largest block height, and it'll automatically start downloading. But I do not recommend that you use your browser to download it like what I'm showing right now. The reason is a lot of these browsers do not support resumable downloads properly. And so what I recommend is wget. So if you're in your terminal here, I'm logged into my cache box here, and we can see the Fulcrum indexer and the full node is running. I don't have the SLP token indexer running right now. I can run this wget command to download the file this way, and it'll give me this nice progress indicator. And if the download gets interrupted, it's a pretty big download. It's 3.8 gigabytes right now, and that grows over time. If it gets interrupted, I can restart it with this -C flag. Um, that will resume the download. And so that way, if it gets interrupted, you don't have to start the download from scratch. So just wanted to point that out. If your browser's not properly doing download restarts, use wget on the terminal. All right, so I'm going to remove that. I already have a copy of the latest snapshot right here. So let's pretend that I've already downloaded it because I already have. So that's step one, go there and download, and then step two, download it using wget. Stop the Docker container for the SLP indexer. I've already done that. And then building on where I left off in the last video, if you go into the production folder, you'll see a data and a Docker folder. You want to stop the container and then go into this data folder, and you'll see a level DB folder in there, and then a current and a zips folder. Now I go into current here. Well, actually, let's go into the zips first. So there's one zip file in here. This is like the first snapshot that it created. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And then I'm gonna, and you need to use the sudo command here because these directories were created by Docker, which had root permission at the time, and so you'll need to use sudo to preface all your commands when you're in this data directory. So I'm gonna copy that backup file right here, and then I'm gonna unzip it. And this will take a minute to unzip. Okay, so I've unzipped it, and what I like to do is change this home folder to the block height. So I know that that folder is a backup, that block height 925,000. So now if I go into the currents folder, again, no Docker container running. It's important that it's not running. I'm going to delete all of the folders in this directory, and then I'm going to copy the path to this directory, and I'm going to replace all that content with the contents in that zip file. So if I go into that folder, I'll go all the way down the directory structure into another folder called current, and then I can copy all the files in that directory to the current working directory where the database lives. So I'm just copying the backup of the database to the live database. And this will take a second because it's moving several gigabytes of files. Okay, there we go. And then I can go back into that current directory and I can see that the backup has been restored. And now I can go back into the Docker container and I can bring the containers back up. So let's check SLPDB and make sure it came up correctly. Okay, it did. It's running. And now if we check that block indexer, we can see that it's not back at block 500,000. It's the backup restoration of the database was successful, and so now it's syncing. So that saved weeks of syncing time by doing this step. One last tidbit of information I want to leave you with is in the block indexer and the SLPDB containers, go into them and check that .m file. What you want to add is, if you go to the README, exit on missing backup, you want to set that to true. So there's two phases, during initial block download and then real-time indexing at the tip of the chain. So during initial block download, if it runs into an issue, it rolls back to the latest snapshot. And then if it can't find that snapshot, it rolls back to the latest snapshot and tries that 3 times. And if it can't find any of those snapshots, there's nothing else it can do other than to roll all the way back to Genesis and restart. And that's fine behavior during initial block download because you want it to leave it hands off and you want it to just recover automatically. But once you're near the tip of the chain, you don't want that behavior anymore. And there's this race condition when you restart your cache box where that sort of freak out might happen and it might accidentally roll all the way back to Genesis, even though you have a fully synced database. So setting this to true makes it exit rather than try to roll back to Genesis. So just edit these .m files. And if that value is not there already, go ahead and add it. There we go. So that's on the block indexer. And like I said, we also need it in the M file for SLPDB. So that's there. And then you can bring the containers down and bring them back up to refresh that .m file. And you're good. You're covered at that point. And now the indexer won't accidentally roll back to Genesis.